He's got some big announcements. You've seen private groups estimate hundreds of thousands are killed a year in hospitals and by drugs, and it's one of the most dangerous places to be. We all know that. But he's gone and actually found that they've now admitted on government websites. And he is here to break down this big breaking news with us today. Of course, you also go to the hospital. They spy on you, and if they say you have marijuana in your blood, they'll take your children from you. So be aware of that. These are actual brainwashing prisons. Jon Rappoport, good to have you on with us.
Hey, great to be here, Alex. Yeah, big breaking story. This is 10 years in the making. 100,000 people killed every year by FDA-approved medical drugs. That's 1 million people a decade. That's called murder, in case anybody has any doubt about it. 2 million severe adverse drug reactions every year in the United States. That's 20 million over every decade. We're talking about stroke, heart attack, neurological damage. The studies are there. I've been writing about this, talking about it for 10 years. I said there was a smoking gun. I knew there was. And 2 days ago, I got the tip. I went to the page on the FDA website. You guys have the page now in a screenshot. The FDA cites those figures on their own website. 100,000 deaths every year caused by medical drugs, 2 million severe adverse reactions, fourth leading cause of death in the United States. Actually, it's the third, behind cancer and heart attacks. And there it is on their own website in stark terms. They probably don't even know the page is still there, but it's there, it's captured for all to see, and yet at the same time, at the same moment, they assume no responsibility or accountability for it. It's like they're talking about something that's happening on the moon. Because they're the agency, the only agency in America that can certify a drug as safe and effective, and thereby it gets into the marketplace. Without them saying it's safe, it never would be there. And yet here they are on their own website admitting that the drugs that they call safe are killing genocidally 100,000 people a year.
And by the way, that's a conservative number that they're using. I've seen numbers from different think tanks where it's something like 250,000+ from just bad procedures and infections. And then the number I've seen is over 150,000 just from prescription drugs. Yeah,
there are higher figures, no question about it. Conservative estimate is 225,000 people killed by the medical system every year. The other 120,000 would be from what happens in hospitals.
Now, going back to Jon Rappoport, if you go to his website, nomorefakenews.com, right at the top, it says, hiding in plain view, FDA murder. And we're going to post it at Infowars.com right now as well to mirror it because it's so important. I'm going to add the flourish if it's all right with him. Or Google gets us with link farm stuff, so I always change the headline a little inside baseball there. Hidden in plain view, FDA murder of 100,000 a year. That's going to be the InfoWars headline. If I can do that, I'll just ask permission here on air. How's that sound, Jon?
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay, buddy, you've got the floor. Break down the fact of how they've tried to suppress this. Why do you think suddenly they're having to admit it as the fourth cause of death, as you said, really the third cause of death in the U.S.? This is just, and of course, they say that, 1 out of 10 adverse reactions gets reported. That's conservative. Some say it's more like 1 out of 100. So it must be even much worse than that, because hospitals are predisposed to cover up what they're doing.
You're absolutely right. The real figure is more like 22 million severe adverse reactions to drugs every year in the United States. So take, 22 million over a 10-year period, that's 220 million. That means the whole country is under the gun of these people. And they've been hiding these facts for at least 10 years or more. They're not readily admitting to them now, except they've blown the whistle on themselves because we found the web page where they state the facts, the FDA. It's right there. So they can't deny it anymore, and it's even got medical study citations there to back it up. So they're going to be very embarrassed by this. I mean, if you were killing 100,000 people a year by something that you manufactured and you knew about it for at least 10 years, you can't call that anything except first-degree murder.
Oh, like Bayer knowingly in over 100 companies for 11 years shipping out factor 8 they knew had HIV and hepatitis in it and killing tens of thousands and their own execs laughing about it like that?
Exactly. Exactly. You see, this isn't accident. It isn't incompetence. It isn't even negligent homicide. It's first-degree murder. That's what it is. Now, there's the Justice Department sitting right down the street from the FDA, okay? 100,000 people dying of medical drugs every year. That's 33 plane crashes into the world towers every year like clockwork, every single year. Now, from one of those crashes, we spent hundreds of billions into the trillions going to war, doing everything that Alex has been documenting all these years. All the Department of Justice has to do is get in a few cars, drive down the street to the FDA building, and say, you're all under arrest for first-degree murder.
Well, they admit almost everybody there is a Monsanto or Big Pharma or Big Banker exec. It's a revolving door. It's a total joke.
Exactly. It's a total joke. The amount of collusion involved here is just, staggering. Because they know about it. They know what's happening. They absolutely know that the drugs are killing people. In fact, now you want to look at the implications, and this is in my article. Marcia Angel, who was for many years the editor of the New England Journal of Medicine and finally quit. I've got her quote there, and she basically says, I can no longer trust any published studies in medical journals, period. Period. Because, look, in order for these drugs to be approved for public use, the pharmaceutical companies that are making them are lying through their teeth over and over again in their clinical trials of the drugs that claim the drugs are safe. And in the published studies that are printed in the medical journals, they're all fraudulent. They're completely lying.
This is huge.
All the time.
And Monsanto, back in the 70s, as you know, was Searle then, and they bought Searle. 3 times tried to get aspartame approved, and they couldn't. So they had Rumsfeld take over as the CEO, change the document, and say that because 20% of the monkeys lived eating aspartame, the babies having it put in their milk, it was okay. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, they feed us a chemical weapon that is causing much of the neurological disorders on record, and now it's in all the sugar gums and most of the candies. They're attacking us. And it's in the Associated Press and other publications. When I heard this months ago, I didn't believe it. Turns out for 12 years, it's been in a bunch of news that the Monsanto engineers, genetic engineers, demanded that no GMO be in their cafeterias at their facilities. I mean, folks, this is off the charts, the level of assault.
I think what happened is that some FDA employee who felt conscience-stricken about this whole thing decided that he was going to use the FDA website to show the truth. And he did. And it escaped their attention. And who knows how long this page has actually been hanging there. I mean, it's hanging by a thread as we speak because of the coverage that you've got, Alex. They could be taking this page down right away.
And you have links in your article that are at nomorefakenews.com and now at Infowars.com. Let's put that back on screen, the actual document from the FDA website, guys. Please continue, John. I'm ranting.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so somebody there decided they were going to blow the whistle and escaped everybody's attention. But now what's happening is, this is chemical warfare against the people. This is, just like you've got canisters of stuff that you're spraying in the street, except that doctors are prescribing it, and people consider doctors to be the high priests of the new religion, and so they take the prescription pad and they take the drugs and they die, and then everybody says, what happened? And the doctor says, it had nothing to do with me. It's a disease they had. That's what, et cetera, et cetera. They lie. All right, now it's all coming out in the open. For example, take one illustration, Vioxx, which we all know about. Vioxx was supposedly killing, let's say, 50,000 people in the United States because of heart attacks and strokes. The FDA said it was safe. That's why it got on the market. However, between 1999 and 2004, when the drug was on the market, we saw the biggest spike in the death rate in the United States seen in years. And when it was withdrawn in 2004, no longer on the market, that spike was gone. And if you make up the difference there and look at what the numbers are of this drug, the effects of Vioxx, manufactured by Merck, we could very well be looking at 500,000 deaths in America from that one drug over a 5-year period. The Merck people knew all about it. They knew about it up front. They had a list of doctors they said needed to be, quote, neutralized because the doctors wanted to speak out about it. There was an internal email from a Merck employee that said, quote, we may need to seek them out, meaning these doctors or their enemies, and destroy them where they live so they could get this drug on the market and keep it there. One drug, 500,000 people dead in 5 years. The media sit there on their hands and they say and they do nothing.
And by the way, the head of the Vioxx, the guy that was the head at the time, he's just been promoted to a super powerful position, and they put all these guys in the government.
That's right. That's where they all end up. And then they stay there for a while and they get sanitized. Their cover stories get sanitized. They go back through the revolving door, back into the pharmaceutical industry where they rake in millions of more dollars, and nobody ever does anything to them. I mean, this is murder. The heads of these drug companies, the employees of the FDA that are responsible for this, no one in the last 10 years have I ever encountered that has ever been censured, fired, or prosecuted for mass murder. This is murder out in the open. Murder out in the open. And now we have the numbers, conservative estimate of the numbers, but nevertheless, 100,000 deaths a year in the United States as a direct result of medical drugs. It's on the FDA's website. It's there. They can't worm around it. They'll try. They'll give you all kinds of excuses and reasons and tap dances. But right now, if Eric Holder had any guts, he would be driving a car down the street, and he would be arresting the commissioner of the FDA on a charge of murder. And then you would see the entire medical establishment from one end of the planet to the other shaking in their boots.
But let's look at what he really did. But let's look at what he really did. He drove the guns down to Mexico and the hand grenades, and he also dropped by Oklahoma City once upon a time. So he likes what's happening. This is a very dangerous, wicked person. And again, that goes to Big Pharma is big eugenics. I know you've researched that. Tell people why they're doing this, because it's not just about profit. This is a loving religion of hurting people. Absolutely.
I mean, they want to decimate, the majority of the population of the planet, either by, outright killing them, making them infertile, or consigning them to some sort of horrendous existence at an extremely low level, as portrayed, for example, in Hunger Games. And then the elites would be genetically enhanced by the, quote, latest technology, so that they would be supposedly, in heavy quotes, superior to everybody else. I mean, these academics, we talked this before, like Lee Silver at Princeton and so forth, remaking Eden, they're just coming right out and saying it. The people that have enough money will buy the designer genes, Genes, and they will have their kids modified, made more intelligent.
But it's better. They also say start killing babies up to 3 and kill anybody if they become old. And Bill Gates says kill grandma.
Exactly. Yep, that's right. Babies, we talked about that article as well. Oh, sure, you got a kid who's, a year old, 2 years old, and somebody decides the kid should be killed. That's called after-birth abortion. Suddenly, a new term comes in. The elderly are too much trouble, kill them. Very easy to do in nursing homes, bang. In fact, I knew a manufacturer of hyperbaric oxygen tanks. You can read all about that if you Google it, who was on the verge of signing a contract with a string of nursing homes because they found that when patients received this oxygen, they became more agile, more alert. They came back into their minds again. They were no longer senile and so forth. And then at the last minute, the contract was canceled. And this guy I knew who manufactured the hyperbaric oxygen said to the owner of the nursing homes, "What's going on, man? Why did you cancel the contract?" And the guy said, "Well, I talked to my people, and they said they don't want these old people alert. They don't want them alive. They want to warehouse them. They want to drug them. They want to keep them unconscious."
And now yuppies think it's cute to go, yeah, kill babies, kill old people. Don't these fools get it's going to happen to them? And it's going to be like 5 minutes from now they're going to be old? But plus, even if you don't care about old folks, a society that does this is going to go after everybody. These fools that think as long as it's somebody else, they're getting ahead by someone else being hurt. They're such idiots.
People like this always think that they're the elite. You know, I've got a connection to the big top. I've got a connection to important people. This is the way people like this, you know, the yuppified class behaves and acts. And they're going to be in for a serious shock when they, excuse me, when they are suddenly on the death assembly line, because nobody cares about them who has any actual, you know, clout in this country.
But who wants to live in a world where it's a bunch of trendies prancing around that love death, and then there's no one real around you, and these people are so empty? I just can't believe that they've done this, because it's been scientific with the media. They've really turned America and the rest of the world, large sections, into just vapid, empty husk, but it doesn't matter. I don't want to die, and I don't want other innocents to die.
Neither do I. Neither do I. And this is why, you know, if you can look at this information head on, and you can see that the government is admitting this, it's a wake-up of a different order of magnitude. Because now it's like somebody coming into your house and saying, "Hi, I'm the killer. I've got chemical warfare. I do this to people every day, and I'm in power, and this is my name, and this is my face. You see me now." And now when you see it up close and personal, it's not the same anymore. Well, the FDA is getting as close and personal as they can by admitting this on their website, that they're the killers. It's like an ad. We're the killers. We're killing you. What are you going to do?